What's up, folks? Justin Khanna here, and in this video I want to talk about a book from one of my favorite authors and how it can help you avoid some really common pitfalls as a chef. Ego is the Enemy, one of several of Ryan Holiday's best-selling books, and the title alone might give you some insight as to why I think this can apply to so many chefs out there. The typical pretentious, smug, arrogant, artist, creative comes to mind, especially in the chef space because of
what I didn't understand when I was looking at the beauty is just how torturous it is.
That's why it's called Don't Stick!
And I get it, it's competitive, it's high pressure, it's really fucking hard to not turn into that big-headed chef in order to stand out. I want to talk about a few takeaways from this book that were hugely impactful for me, and hopefully you come away with a different look at that E word. This book is brilliantly broken down into three separate sections: aspire, success, and failure. And he talks about this in the book, that most of us, wherever we are in our lives, is in one of these three categories. We're either aspiring towards something, whether it's recognition, or an award, or validation from an organization, or we've achieved a level of success, we've done what we've aspired to do, or we've really gotten into a situation where we are experiencing failure. And ego can come into all of those situations and really fuck shit up. Ryan says, quote, "The ego we see most commonly goes by a more casual definition, an unhealthy belief in our own importance. Arrogance, self-centered ambition. The solution to that," he writes, "what's rare is not raw talent, skill, or even confidence, but humility, diligence, and self-awareness." And this was really hard for me to hear, right? So much of the beginning stages of my career was that. It was to show that I had talent. It was to develop skill. The only thing that I wanted out of my career was to be seen as a good cook, a confident chef. But in reality, what's at the end of that road is a very selfish and lonely prize. It's just kind of like you and your ego just kind of wallowing in each other in this self-made prison you've created. So how do we not get there? Ryan suggests removing yourself from the equation, not asking who do I want to be in life, but what do I want to accomplish in life? So for us chefs, instead of saying I want to be a Michelin-Starred chef, we should be saying I want to create a standalone place where people can get a new perspective about food cooked over fire. Or I want to create a place that shows people the magnificence of the combination of a donut and a croissant. Does that make sense? It's less about you, it's more about the mission. It has purpose as opposed to numbers and headlines. Those two examples I gave earlier could be really good case studies for a place like Cezanne or a bakery like Dominique Ansel's. Wherever you are on your journey, whether you're aspiring, you're succeeding, or you're failing, what a big point Ryan pushes is to always have the mindset of a student. He writes, quote, "A true student is like a sponge, absorbing what goes on around him, filtering it, latching on to what he can hold. A student is self-critical and self-motivated, always trying to improve his understanding so he can move on to the next topic, the next challenge. A real student is also his own teacher and his own critic. There is no room for ego there." We've all heard the phrase, follow your passion, and I want to work with passionate people, but Ryan suggests to swap out the word passion for purpose. Quote, "What humans require in our ascent is purpose and realism. Purpose, you could say, is like passion without boundaries. Realism is detachment and perspective," end quote. And it's so impactful, right? It gives you this insanely clear laser focus on what's next. He says, quote, "If your purpose is something larger than you, to accomplish something, to prove something to yourself, then suddenly everything becomes both easier and more difficult. Easier in the sense that you know what it is you need to do and what is important to you. The other quote-unquote choices wash away, as they aren't really choices at all. They're distractions. It's about the doing, not the recognition. Easier in the sense that you don't need to compromise. Harder because each opportunity, no matter how gratifying or rewarding, must be evaluated along strict guidelines. Does this help me do what I have set out to do? Does this allow me to do what I need to do? Am I being selfish or selfless?" This has been particularly telling for me because when I started out, the only goal, the only vision that I had was to be a 3 Michelin-starred chef. That's the only thing that I wanted. And I spent all my time researching and working and reading about these places and wanting to spend time around those people that could get me closer to that goal of being a 3 Michelin-star chef. And once I started working at these places, I started to realize it wasn't satisfying for me. It wasn't what I wanted. And so this next chapter for me, the one you're currently watching develop, goes along the lines of this quote that he gives. "When success begins to slip from your fingers for whatever reason, the response isn't to grip it and claw it so hard that you shatter it to pieces. It's to understand that you must work yourself back to the aspirational phase. You must get back to first principles and best practices." That's what YouTube and videos and podcasts and photos is for me right now. 2 years ago when I started this whole thing, I went back to square one. I was an amateur. I knew nothing about videography or content creation, and I had to fight to put up with all the people that were talking behind behind my back like, why is Justin making YouTube videos? I had to leave my ego at the door. I had to say, yeah, you know what? I'm learning right now. I know it's not great. I'm improving. I'm focused. And now what I ultimately have is a new set of skills, not just to pay my bills, but now I can cook when I want, where I want. I can share my ideas with you folks and help you do better at the work that you do. And I have the flexibility to travel and work with amazing people, which to me, thinking back to the thing that I thought I wanted before, sounds way better than having a Michelin plaque up on the wall. And this is not to say that it's a bad goal. I don't want to discourage you if those are the kinds of aspirations that you have. Because let's be real, awards and accolades are intensely motivating, not just for individuals, but for your entire team and your organization. It's important to be recognized for the work that you do, but it shouldn't drive you at your core. I want to leave you with this one quote to finish. It's not about beating the other guy. It's not about having more than the others. It's about being what you are and being as good as possible at it without succumbing to all of the things that draw you away from it. It's about going to where you set out to go, about accomplishing the most that you're capable of in what you choose. That's it. No more, no less. I had the insane pleasure of meeting Ryan Holiday when he was in Seattle for his book tour on his latest work, Conspiracy, and I had him sign a copy of Ego is the Enemy in anticipation for making this video. So I want to make sure that one of you folks gets a autographed copy of the book. I of course have it linked up below if it's something that you want to pick up for yourself. But if you want this signed copy, I would love to know the aspirations that you have for yourself in this life. For me, it's definitely to create a place where the digital and the in real life can come together. I'll go deeper into that in another video, but you folks know that I interact with every single comment that you will post on this channel. I know it might be kind of weird to write it out what you're aspiring towards, but take it from me, it helps. If you're listening to this as an Emulsion podcast episode, definitely tweet at me. I know it's only 280 characters, but I'm sure if you tag Ryan Holiday, he would love to hear that our community appreciates his work as well. I'll pick one of you that comments down below or tweets at me in the next couple of weeks to win this signed copy of Ego is the Enemy. But until then, in the meantime, thank you so much for your attention. My name's Justin Khanna. Have a good one.